Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Brothers Take podcast. I'm Chris. I'm joined once again by my brothers, Adam.
Hello.
And Eric.
Hello.
And we are back in the room to talk more gaming references in a movie. Now we're actually here to talk about a movie this week for a little bit of a change up. We have done it many, many times before, but we're actually going to be talking this week about the new Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. The first
Dark of the
one
Moon.
rises. Ethan Hunt rises.
A title almost as long as the movie.
Quite a long fucking movie, actually, especially for a Mission Impossible. But we're going to be sharing our thoughts on the movie. First of all, our non-spoiler thoughts. Then we'll go into like full spoilers, just in case someone hasn't seen it yet and they still want to get around to seeing it and they just want to know some thoughts. We'll keep it loose for the first 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll go spoiler details because we really want to talk about the specifics of the movie. And then also, as I mentioned, there are some very, very clear video game references, as well as things that reminded me, and I think you as well, of video games that might not be specifically references, but it's like, that's very like.
Yeah.
And that's very like. And, there was lots of that in it. So yeah, we're going to be sharing all of our thoughts on that, and we'd love to hear from you guys too. So versus YouTube, jump down in the comments at any point to share your thoughts, and if you enjoy this one, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring that notification bell for all future content, including when we eventually, and we're going to have to do this because we did it with the James Bond series, but when Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2 comes out, the series will be finished, and it would seem only right that we rank the Mission Impossible franchise, right?
That sounds like an impossible task.
Say, well, with only so few of them, I think we'll manage. I think we could do it. But we'll probably cause absolute war with our ranking. But anyway, so keep make sure you subscribed for that for the future down the road. If you're watching this, or if you're listening to this on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take again to give your take on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. But without further ado, let's kick off the mission. Should you choose to accept?
Why do you sound like Dumbledore?
I don't know. Ron Weasley.
50 points of Gryffindor.
I don't know. Yeah. Why did I sound like Dumbledore?
Should you choose to accept?
Quite a fucking...
I thought it was more like Bane.
Should you choose to accept? This is Dead Reckoning. What did you guys think of the movie?
It was alright, wasn't it?
That's good fun. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a ton of issues with it, but like... You know, as far as Mission Impossible movies go, it's alright.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the movie. I thought overall, it was too long.
Yeah.
I do definitely think there's segments that need to be shaved off a little bit.
You mean you're not crying out for that 4-hour cut that everyone's wanting?
There's a 4-hour cut?
Apparently so.
Maybe it's good though. I don't know. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, I was crying for the 4-hour cut of Justice League, and I mean, based on the cut that I did see in the cinema, I shouldn't have been, but in the end, it was worth it. It's like, why would I want to see more of that? I know it was a different director, but the cut I saw was so shit. It's like, why would I want to watch more of this? So sometimes, maybe there's something in that. I thought there was scenes that actually should have been longer, and other scenes that should have been shorter. You know what I mean? Like, I thought there was points in the movie.
Interesting.
Like,
so what should have been longer?
I can't talk about that yet.
Oh, yeah. I see.
We get there. But I'm just giving like a basic, overall. So far. I thought the performances were generally good, as they usually are in Mission Impossible, right in tone and in the pacing of that movie. This isn't like Oscar baiting kind of performances or anything like that. It's just fun, action-packed, that kind of thing. The stunts were good. We're strong. It's kind of in a way, it's a shame that the big stunt was shown beforehand. I thought it was great marketing, but at the same time, when it's coming up in the movie, you know it's coming, and I don't think you're as surprised. Whereas I remember seeing Fallout and turning to Eric going, "Holy shit!" because I knew nothing about the stunt, and I was blown away, especially in cinema on the big screen, when I was like, "That's fucking real! He's hanging off of that fucking net, and the camera's on him, and what the fuck is it?" And then the camera pans out, and you see Tom Cruise is really hanging off a chopper, and I was like, what the fuck? It's like, he's really doing that, you know, like that blew me away in the cinema. This time around, I didn't get that same feeling, even though the stunt is fucking incredible.
I never get the feeling, and I don't know whether it's the way it's shot or there's just I don't know. There's some movies in the way they're shot and directed where you go, yeah, that looks like The Dark Knight Rises, for example, when they're on that plane. There's something about that wide shot and just the way it stays on it for so long that you're like, yeah, that's been done for realsies, you know?
Yeah, I actually get what you're saying. I feel like that's an easier... Now, in saying that, right, guys, and fucking any of our criticisms, movies are fucking hard to make, right? That should not be understated. They're really hard to make, but that doesn't change the fact that you have a certain feeling after you've seen a movie, right? But the plane sequence in The Dark Knight Rises, I feel like that's actually easier to film.
Oh,
not
yeah.
Maybe to,
and
not
probably
to
less
plan,
dangerous.
but easier to film than this stunt. This stunt is so good.
Yeah.
It's really hard to film it, though. And it's actually, the behind the scenes was more impressive.
Yeah.
That's what I found.
Yeah. I think maybe it's something about that wide shot. Like, when you intercut... Like, I know, like, there's a lot of cuts in sequences because it adds to dramatic effect, but there's... I don't know, maybe it's because we're so used to now knowing that cuts are often used to hide something.
Sure.
Maybe there's a subconscious thing there. Versus, you know, when you watch a YouTube clip and you see people doing crazy stunts. When it's that wide shot and you see the full motion of
the full
it,
thing.
I think it really needs something like that for me to feel the wow, because I think in the back of my head, I'm like, I know it's not movie magic, but it could have been. Therefore, what was the point in doing it for real?
I get you. I reminded there of, when you're saying that, of like what Jackie Chan used to say about, he was always really mad at Western editors versus Eastern editors, because he was saying that whenever he made a movie in the West, they cut all of his action scenes and all of the stunts and it made it look like it was stitched together. Versus, he said, but like, I do 300 takes if I have to get it in one go. And over in the East, all of the movies that he used to make in China and stuff, they never cut anything, and you saw everything. So
yeah,
you know what I mean. So that's interesting when you say that.
Yeah, and another one that comes to mind is actually the motorbike jump in No Time to Die.
Right.
I actually
because that's also an impressive stunt.
That stunt,
I thought it was fake when I saw it.
Yeah.
Until I watched the behind the scenes. Correct. Yeah.
I think that, like, just show us the full... Now, that was a wide shot, but they didn't... I think they cut before he lands.
Something like that. Yeah.
And catches it on the other side.
Let these amazing stunts linger. Just let them linger. That's all I'd say.
What do you think, Eric? From someone who's studied media.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree when it comes to doing things. Like, if we take, getting away from talking about stunts, but not talking about big things. But if you take, like, action sequences, stop cutting action sequences. When actors... No, actor or the stunt guy. I mean, that's still an actor too. But when they're actually doing the fight scenes, stop cutting, because it's annoying and it makes it look like the fight is fake. So, and then also, if you are going to film the whole thing, don't be right up on their buttocks when filming it. Make sure, you get the wide angle. So I do know that with the behind the scenes of that, it was a helicopter following after him, Tom Cruise, when he was driving off.
Yeah. Which
I was a bit like, oh, I thought you would have used a drone.
It looks like they did in the film, though, doesn't it? Because there is a shot of... I hope everyone has seen the stunt, because technically we weren't supposed to be in spoilers part, yes. But it looks like there's close-ups on his cheeks when he's...
That's a camera attached to him.
Yeah.
That's actually on him, on his body?
On him, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe it was a drone following along.
No. But I would have thought they would have used the drone to follow along. And that way, then you would get that moment of the camera going with him, and therefore you're going with it. Would have probably been
or stick it on a wire, so like the cable is going also down that trajectory, so that it like goes down along with him.
So,
yeah.
I'd say, but the other thing is, I'd say we could theorize about this forever, right? And I'm sure the amount of conversations they must have had before they, finaled on how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, whatever they did was the safest way of doing the stunt, but still capturing the stunt. Like, there must be some reason, you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
must
because
be some
actually,
reason they didn't do what we're suggesting.
Because if you have the drone, if you have the drone go after him, the parachute might knock out the drone.
Right, when he pulls
well, it kind of depends, I suppose.
The drone
and then if you have
that shot in IMAX?
Wire...
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Is that film in IMAX? I think
a lot of it is.
A lot of it is.
I don't think the whole thing is.
But a drone wouldn't be able to carry an IMAX camera.
That's true.
Actually,
and then maybe that wouldn't match the quality of the rest of the film. So I'm sure there's like multiple reasons why the stunt is the way it is.
The stunt is fine.
Impressive.
I think it's where they decide to. It's where they decide to cut, right? It's like, and we're seeing that like it's a little bit in. It was happening a bit in the newest John Wick movies as well, where things get cut a little too soon. I think. I think it's
that. Well, that's also a movie where there's stuff that they could have cut.
They could cut, yeah. It's like, you're taking a while there. Yeah.
These 2-minute stares seem like 10 minutes. Anyway, yeah.
I suppose before we get into any further specifics, then, right? Just to generally go around. So I'll go first. I would say I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a good, fun watch. It's not a go back to the cinema to watch again type movie, but I would watch it again on TV. Like, I wouldn't be like I'm never watching that again. Once was enough. I would definitely rewatch it in a ranking. Going back to the Mission Impossibles. I don't think it's the worst Mission Impossible. I don't think it's the best Mission Impossible. I do think that it feels for as much as is in it. If I felt that it was like holding stuff back because it's a part one.
Yeah.
And the film by the end to me did not feel complete. Obviously, that going in, it's a part one. It's going to be sort of on some kind of cliffhanger. But it even didn't feel like a cliffhanger to me. It didn't end in such a way where I was like, give me the next one. You know what I mean? I'm perfectly okay, cool. I'll wait till the next one. But I enjoyed the movie overall.
I have sort of like a theory on why, because I think I had the same feeling but I was like instantaneously going, there's one thing they should have changed about that ending to make that a little bit more impactful. But obviously that's spoilers. Won't get into it.
Yeah.
I was the same. It's an enjoyable movie, but at this point, since Ghost Protocol to Rogue Nation to Fallout and now Dead Reckoning, I'm expecting more. These are fun films. Like, they're really far away in tone and film style and everything going for. Like, they're really far away from the very first Mission Impossible. Like, if someone, like, let's say Fallout was the first one they saw, if they went, oh, these are really great, I'm going to go back and watch the first one. They're going to be very like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you have a point there. And actually, some people make this comparison, and I want to be careful about making this comparison, but some people compare them to the Fast and the Furious movies, right? Now, I don't think they mean quality. I think they mean in that when you think of Fast and Furious now, you think of from a certain movie onward.
Yeah.
Which has maintained a consistent... Maybe 4 or 5 or something like that. Which has maintained a consistent tone. But it's vastly different from where the series started. But there's DNA there, obviously. There's DNA the whole way through. And I think there's something to be said there for Mission Impossible as well, where you're bang on, Eric. I think from Ghost Protocol onwards, there's quite a consistent tone. I'm not saying they're all as good as each other, but yeah, very different to the first movie, which is much more grounded thriller. These are definitely higher inflated kind of adventures,
Yeah, these are almost like the Pierce Brosnan films. Not like they're good films, they're enjoyable films, but their plots are sometimes a little bit like, no, fuck off with the laser beam for a satellite. Like, they're quite far fetched, even though there's good performance and stuff in there.
Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd probably be the same boat as you with it. I did enjoy watching it. I wasn't on the edge of my seat the way I was with Fallout. Fallout, I was like on the edge of my seat. There's even a scene quite close to the start of Fallout where I was a bit like, oh my God, did they really do that? Like, and then it was like,
sure.
Nope, we didn't. And I was like, would be nice if you did. Would be nice if you had a pair, and just kind of got on with it. But I wouldn't go back to the cinema to watch it unless like one of my friends went, "Hey, you want to see the movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay," but I wouldn't be in a rush to go back to see it.
Yeah.
But I watch on cinema, and the ranking would be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun. Adam, your overall then?
Yeah, I think I like the actors in it. I think all the actors are really, really good. Really, really strong female roles in this. Like they stood out to me the most out of everyone.
Yeah,
because none of they were all very individual to their own characters, and they really held up their own. Like some of them did some incredible shit in that film, and one of
Vanessa
them in particular
Kirby
could easily carry the series going forward. But the actual script is horrendous. There's moments in this movie where I just did some serious eye rolling with some of the dialogue that was given to characters.
Sure.
And it has probably the most bonkers plot in the entire franchise. I'm just trying to think back now. It is. It's the most bonkers plot in the entire franchise.
So believable and amazing.
Well, I kind of have a feeling now that part 2, I'm hoping that they do a kind of a switcheroo, and it's kind of like Moriarty from the Sherlock series. If they do something along those lines, then I would be like, okay, that's fucking cool. But with the current what they're planning at the moment, it actually felt like a Captain America movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you.
It's a far cry from where the series started.
It is. It's very interesting. I'll put it that way. I think as well. I think there's an element of it where if you were sitting down discussing the ideas, there is a sort of poetry to it, and we'll get into spoilers soon, right? Yeah. There's a bit of a poetry to what they're going for in the plot, but you have to be very careful in the execution.
Yeah. Before
it becomes feeling outlandish. Because there's an element of it where it's like, if you sit down and think about it, like, in concept, maybe it's not totally outlandish, right? I was reminded of, as I was watching it, I was reminded of No Time to Die, right? And I was going, this plot is outlandish. But you're selling it to me by the way you're executing it.
Okay.
And I'm buying it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of thinking about that during this movie, where I was going, this is outlandish. But if you could execute it well, maybe this will work. But I don't know if they did. I think it was a little bit. But then in saying that, there's an interesting, it might be ahead of its time. There's an interesting conversation going on at the moment, which is weird. Obviously in a way less military way, but there's huge debates and questions and conversations happening right now about this kind of technology.
Yeah, but I mean,
and strikes, and it's an interesting, we're in early stages, but it's going to have an impact, and it's interesting to think about where it might go. But obviously, in this film, it's way ahead of.
Right, but I feel like we were already thinking about that and having those conversations maybe back in 2001.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah. So it's nothing. This is nothing we haven't seen before, right? It's not a new idea.
Hideo Kojima's from the future, okay? Right?
He knew.
He came back in time and he was like, "This is the shit that's going to happen, and I'm going to make millions off it."
Well, with that in mind, then, right? Well, we've given our basic overalls each of what we thought of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't seen it, if it sounds like something you'd be interested in seeing, go see it. If you've enjoyed the other Mission Impossible movies, I think you'll enjoy it, at least. If you love the other Mission Impossible movies, like, I wouldn't call myself the biggest Mission Impossible fan. If you love those movies, I think you will really, really enjoy this. But if you at least enjoy the other ones, I think you'll enjoy this. If you don't like the other ones, I can't see this being the one that changes your mind. You know what I mean? Like, it's well in tone with those other movies.
Yeah.
But let's talk specifics. So spoilers start in 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. Fucking get right to the entity then, right? Maybe it doesn't help calling it the entity. You know,
yeah, look,
that gives it a feeling of an old otherworldliness.
It is like, there are moments where you're like, this is a Marvel movie. Like, this is straight up a Marvel movie. They're fighting Ultron.
Like, sure. Yeah.
Well, actually, you say that, but this is sort of more how Ultron should have been in that movie, Age of Ultron.
Yeah, well, I suppose, like, you know, the one's trying to take it seriously and the other one's a kid's movie. So, but it's just the way they go on. It's like, well, I wouldn't say this is certainly not a kid's movie, the way they've been presenting it and what they're kind of covering in it.
I don't know. If I was 12, I'd fucking love it.
Oh, fuck yeah. I mean, like, when I was 12, I was watching Rambo First Blood. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just saying, Rambo First Blood is not made for children.
No.
But, yeah, kids would love
Rambo
the fuck out of it.
3, though. Rambo 3 is.
Yeah, and I love that one. That's the thing. I love that as a kid.
Don't know anything about missiles.
Well, I mean, I couldn't help but think of, in a similar way, and I brought it up, No Time to Die, I couldn't help but think of Fox Die. And in this movie, I was like, it's the Patriots.
Yeah, it's like Guns of the Patriots, it's Sons of Liberty, it's all that. I mean, there is a moment where I think I turned to you, Chris, in cinema. I was like, this is Metal Gear movie. It's actually at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
It was the very beginning of the movie.
He hides down on the horse, which is the Phantom Pain sequence, basically.
Yeah.
And Ela Faust is hiding with the sniper, and she looks like quiet a little bit.
Yeah.
And and then it goes into a bit of Call of Duty sequence. I actually thought, right, that is a scene. I know, obviously, they're trying to build up to the intro, and it's the longest Mission Impossible intro, definitely. So they're trying to move along quickly, but that's actually scene. The desert scene, I would have spent a little bit longer on, because I thought the action there was fucking awesome. That was probably my favorite action scene in the whole movie.
Yeah, again, I didn't really like how it was.
It's the car scene I would have.
Yeah, that definitely needs to be cut
away
for
from.
sure.
That was very long.
But their car sequences and car chases tend to be quite long anyway. From Ghost Protocol onwards, it tends to spend a lot of time in the car.
But it went from long to like it just kept going, didn't it? You know, I would have put a minute or two extra on the desert scene, I think. That's all.
Yeah, because they could have had the intro after he got the mission.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, were they going to leave it out? Because it was definitely going on a while before that happened.
Yeah.
I wonder if with the next one, are they just going to leave that bit to the very end of the movie?
Nah.
Nah,
they'll do it. They'll do.
No, they'll do.
Yeah,
They'll do another big intro. Sorry, Eric. I can't tell what.
Obviously, they're going to do it at the start of the movie. They're not going to fucking leave it at the end. Anyway.
Yes, how in the slightest was that a joke? Like,
yeah, you need to preface your jokes.
Like when we were talking about the James Bond movies, like they did the barrel sequence at the end of most of them ones in the Daniel Craig series. So I 100% took you seriously.
All right. But anyway, so the AI, the entity. Eric, what did you think of it?
I mean, I was aware of it going into the movie because they were talking about it on the radio, and they were talking about the whole idea of the AI faking particular things in the movie. So I was aware of that going in. That I knew the AI was an enemy or someone was using it. I mean, the first time they ever say the entity, I am a bit like, you guys are like government top tier. There's no way you're calling it the entity.
Yeah, I'd give it a code name or something, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd imagine if you called it like L5 or something. I'm like, there you go. Yeah, give it some lame letter and a number. That's fine. Entity is like, it's a comic book thing.
It's a bit fantastical, right?
Yeah, it's the entity. It's like, no, you're gonna do like what the cosmologists do when they find a new planet. When they find a new planet, it's like, here's NW55-C96. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Give it a fucking better name. But yeah, so but I liked it on the screen. It looked like this eyeball, and I liked the sound effect that they used for it. I thought it was very cool.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I don't love the execution of it, and I don't like that they call it the Entity, because I do think it gives it this comic booky, otherworldly thing. But I do think there's an interesting, like, the poetry aspect of it was, what if the enemy of an intelligence agent was intelligence itself? Like, if intelligence is the villain, basically. I was like, that's kind of cool. And I liked the bits in the movie when they were paranoid about the decisions they were making, and when they were like smashing their own laptops, which is what they always relied on because it had become a problem. I kind of wish they went further down that road of not relying on their own technology, because they can't, and they can't trust it. And so that aspect is the aspect I was like, oh, that's interesting. I do wish they pushed that a little further.
Yeah, I liked when they started having to use old tech. I would like to see that go further as well.
Which I feel like the next movie is going to be just full of...
Yeah, well, it was really weird because towards the end of the movie, this one, like, Benji was still using a laptop connected to the internet.
While driving an automatic, like a...
While driving. Now, I did like his moment. I did like the moment when he got into the car and then he looked at the wheel for a moment and then decided to put it. See, I thought he was going to... I thought it would have made more sense for him to go back to the wheel to take control. But I still like him staring at it like, should I? No, fuck it. Let's put the seatbelt on and we'll get on with it.
Yeah, it's a small acknowledgement of it, but at the same time, it's like, are you taking enough measures based on what you have already been through?
He is not.
Yeah, So I like the ideas they're pushing. I wish it had a more of an impact on them, to a point where they're like, right, we have to do this old school. Like, you'd be forcing them to then, by like the next movie, they have to do it like Mission Impossible 1. You know what I mean? Like, you have to, everything is going to be like super old school. And like, we're going to really have to rely on masks and, old tricks and old tools, because we can't rely on our computers anymore and stuff. I think there's something interesting in that. And obviously, this concept of the Entity is fucking, like, hugely dangerous. Like, I can see obviously why so many parties are interested in it.
I do like the idea that the AI is, that it seems like his last enemy is not a physical thing. I know there's Gabriel, but
yeah,
but that, like, the AI is still the main threat, because the AI at any point could get someone to kill Gabriel if it views Gabriel as not an asset anymore. You know what I mean? So it's still, at the end of the day, the biggest threat in the world. But it's not a physical thing. You can't reason with it. You can't bargain with it. And I like that idea.
Yeah, I kind of wish Gabriel was killed in this movie.
I did like him, though.
I liked his performance. He's the most Bond villainy character of the Mission Impossible series.
He's very very violent too.
Oh yeah.
He seems more dangerous than the previous few villains, for sure.
And so sure of himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like his connection to Ethan's past or anything like that. I think that's completely unnecessary, not needed.
Agreed.
Yeah. Don't need it.
Yeah, I think he easily could have been, like, over the course of the film, through what he's doing, you would eventually have that moment where Ethan Hunt is like, I am going to fucking kill you. You know what I mean? Yep. Just from...
Like, I do like that we do get a taste of their past, and we know how members of IMF are formed. That it's a choice, go to prison or do this.
I thought that was a good little mention. Yeah.
Although it doesn't really... It's a lot of people who commit crimes to make the choice, because wasn't it like the third or fourth one? They have an entire fucking, like, MI6 base or something called the IMF.
Third one. Yeah.
Third one. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, the team... I think So it's Benji and Luther are really the mainstays of the team since since
Protocol,
3,
right?
really, isn't it? Is Luther in 3?
Oh yeah, actually yeah.
Luther is not in 3.
Oh, okay.
He is, isn't he?
So it would be Ghost Protocol.
Oh, he's not. Is he not?
Or was it Ghost Protocol? He's not in.
He's not in Ghost Protocol.
He's not in Ghost Protocol. Okay.
But he has a limited role in 3, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems a bit weird that like they never really managed to build a huge team up, so that there's sacrifice and consequences and all that kind of stuff. Like I think that was one of the beautiful things about the first one, was you built up this camaraderie and then all of a sudden agents are being killed off and stuff. There was never another opportunity for that except for this. Is their name Ilsa?
Rebecca
happens
She's
here.
Great.
She's really good.
Very cool.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see, like, where's the rest of IMF?
Yeah. There's something I was gonna say. It's gone out of my head now. Oh, fucking fun facts about the first movie before we go further. Actually, when you bring it up, one, for anyone who doesn't know, Tom Cruise in this movie is the age that John Voight was in the first movie. Which is just mind blowing. The man is ridiculous. He's in such good shape, and yeah, and even like just when you watch him running in the film, you're just like, what? Those running shots are incredible. Like they really are incredible. Like he's so good at it, and the camera, like there's one bit where he's running in in the church basically, or what looks like a church, and there's loads of candles, and he's fucking going crazy, and the camera's following him for ages. And I thought that was a great shot, and the immediacy of him trying to get to.
Yeah.
Like the whole build up of him trying to get to the girls basically before Gabriel kills one of them.
Yeah, and I really at first
was really good.
Wasn't really into, but I just loved how it progressed was the fight in that really tight alleyway.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I don't think there was any fight in it that for me was as strong as the bathroom fight in Fallout.
Oh right, yeah.
That fight's fucking amazing. Like choreographically and everything is amazing. But I do like the urgency of him trying to get out of that alleyway, like, and then constantly pulling him in, and yeah,
that almost felt like a fight out of like Quantum or something like that. Like it was that brutal.
Yeah.
Between that fight, then cutting to the fight with Ilse and Gabriel, like that's also another pretty brutal fight with some really good.
Yeah, I mean,
it's shot weird, isn't it? I thought the choreography was good, and the music was good. And all that was good, but I found it was shot kind of strange. The two of them fighting on the bridge.
Yeah, but I think, I wasn't keen on their choreography. I loved the kind of the moment and the music and all that kind of stuff, but the choreography to me just felt a little bit like
too choreographed.
It's maybe. An anime, like it's. I think I really like when Mission Impossible tries to stay somewhat grounded as much as it can.
Yeah. We've gone far from that.
No, I know. There's obviously it is a fantasy. It is 100% a fantasy.
Yeah.
But in order to sell a fantasy, you need to stay grounded in other aspects. And when they're doing their little kind of martial arts thingy, like there's moments in there where like I could see it. When they're doing a little spinny and cut, I'm like, you're dead there. Oh, you're dead there. Like there was wasted opportunities where one of them could have cut one another.
Yeah,
but it's like they're almost waiting for them to finish their move.
Sure.
So that fight to me wasn't as good as the fight between Tom Cruise and the other two in the alleyway.
Yeah. Oh, the other fact about the first movie was that the John Voight's character, Jim Phelps, that's the name of I believe the actual protagonist from the Mission Impossible TV series.
He was the head of IMF in the TV series.
Yeah. Which is why then, and like he was in it long running, like so when you first meet him in the first movie, like it opens with him getting the mission, and it's his team. The movie is basically going, if you watch the show, as far as you're concerned, this guy is the good guy.
Yeah.
And then, so that was
very genius. Yeah.
Move.
Ethan Hunt is not even a character.
No, he's brand new. He's only to the movies. Yeah. But about that alleyway, Pom Clementif, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was fucking awesome in this movie.
She was so terrifying.
Like, she was like a proper... there's always going to be comparisons, I think, with Mission Impossible and James Bond. Like, Mission Impossible is often considered like the American James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
And she is like a proper Bond femme fatale, like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she also reminds me a little bit of, like, it's like what they were trying to do in John Wick with some of the femme fatales in that series.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like, whereas this one actually genuinely looked like she could kill you for sure.
Like, I wouldn't mess with her.
No.
Like, I thought she was actually,
and she looked great. Her performance was great. Yeah. You know, there's. I loved that moment, the turning moment when she realizes, like that. I love that whole sequence in the train cabin when Gabriel has that moment of like, okay, well, I need to be on my own because anyone could betray me. Like, that whole sequence.
That's the paranoia aspect that I like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the whole thinking of, like, are our choices our own right now? Or have they all been anticipated and pushed and driven? Which is the very same thing that the whole Metal Gear Solid franchise became about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is, so I'm able to, like, buy into it. Because I'm like, now again, I don't think everything was executed brilliantly. But I'm like, but I like those concepts, that idea of AI in the real world genuinely pushing people's decisions, and we're not even aware of it.
Yeah,
which is happening all the time anyway, with fucking marketing and echo chambers and like, you know.
There's the sequence in the movie where again Ethan is rushing through Italy to try to get to Hayley Atwell's character and Rebecca Ferguson's character. And there's a bit when Benji is guiding him.
Oh, yeah.
And they make a decision in the movie where I'm like, I wouldn't have done that.
Sure.
Because it takes away it takes away the paranoia. Where Benji gets hacked. And then the AI is talking to Ethan, but it sounds like Benji. I wouldn't have told the audience that Benji got hacked. I would have had like a little static, and he goes, Benji, and then Benji's voice comes back in, and it's like, oh, I'm back now. Yeah, blah, blah. And it's only when it gets to the alleyway do you then find out that wasn't Benji at all.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's in the execution, right? It's like the idea is good, but how are you executing? How are you showing it to the audience? Yeah.
Because I heard about that sequence on the radio, and I was like, ooh, I'm looking forward to that sequence. That sounds really cool because he relies on Benji so much. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay.
Were they just straight up spoiling it on the radio?
Yeah, it seems like it.
Okay.
Nice one, radio guys. Yeah. Well done.
Well done.
I got to review this movie for you. Here's how it ends. But you mentioned Hayley Atwell, new character.
I did, yeah.
And she plays a big role in this movie. What do you guys think of her character?
Incredible. Put her in everything. I want her to be the next Tomb Raider.
Okay, that's a big vote of confidence from Adam. Okay, what do you think, Eric?
So she's not a bad show.
No, it's not a bad show, actually.
No, yeah, it's a pretty good show.
Actually, it's a good show.
I know that she's been waiting a long time to get like a big starring role, so she kind of finally got it. I know she was in Captain America and she got the Agent Carter show and stuff, but I don't know, somehow they didn't count.
According to her, that wasn't good enough.
That's harsh, but anyway.
And she became.
That is really harsh.
She became Captain Britain, didn't she become Captain?
She was Captain Britain in Doctor Strange.
But again, none of that counts.
No,
no. Now she's
good enough.
Now she's the new love interest for Ethan Hunt in the Mission Impossible movies.
That's where she peaked.
That's where she peaked. She was very good in them, but I was thinking, if we're doing the last ones, okay, and we brought back Kitcher, and we have Luther.
Exactly what you're going to say. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Would have been so much. It would have been so good to bring back Naya. If you're talking about a thief stealing, pickpocketing, and they're supposed to have this instant connection, fucking if it was Naya, would have been so good. And then you could have killed off Naya's character, and still grabbed Rebecca Ferguson because she was also awesome.
Yeah, Rebecca Ferguson's great.
It is a bit strange how they haven't brought back any of the characters that are still alive from the series.
I had that thought as well, Eric, at one point. Now, in saying that, I think Hayley Atwell was fucking brilliant in this movie.
Awesome. Yeah.
She's great. I can't wait to see what she does next in other movies too. I don't know if I loved everything they did with her character in the movie. Like, there is points where it's like, oh, here we go again, kind of thing. Of just like small moments of like when she handcuffed Ethan to the thing. To me, it was like, oh fuck, she's a bad guy. Because that's fucking serious. That's not just like a little bit of flirty playfulness. That's, you're going to die. Like, so then I was like, oh, that's the turn. That's you should not have trusted her. Right. You fucked up. But actually, in the end, it's like, oh no, she is good, and she's got some kind of conscience, and she decided not to give herself money. I don't really know why. But she was a great performer, like throughout, and for the most part, I enjoyed her character. But I did for a moment go, man, imagine if that was Nia Hall. I can't remember the actor's name played her, but like
Tandy Newton
yeah, because her and Tom, I thought, had great chemistry in Mission Impossible 2 as well. But it'd also be this weird thing of like, why is she back? And the AI has clearly in this movie picked Gabriel specifically because of Gabriel's history with Ethan. That's not by accident, right?
Yeah,
it's so targeted at Ethan's gonna be my problem. I'm making a personal attack at him. And so if you started dragging in different people from the past movies for that reason of like, what the fuck? Why does this thing know me so well? And why is it screwing with me, you know? I thought it would have worked well. But in saying that, I enjoyed Hayley Atwell.
Yeah, I think they went with Hayley Atwell probably because she looks like the girl at the start of the movie that Gabriel killed. That was like,
I think they cast the girl at the start of the movie who was killed because she looks a bit like Hayley Atwell. I'd say it's the other way.
As in the entity chose
How
Hayley
many
Atwell
times is...
Oh, yeah, gotcha, yeah.
So he's been married twice?
Suppose so.
But has he been married twice?
Well, he was married in...
Well, is that referring to a partner or wife that was killed by Gabriel? I kind of got the impression it was a wife.
I got the impression it was just like the love of his life. They might not have been married, like.
Okay,
but
yes,
she could have been, but I don't think that was specified.
Definitely, once he was definitely married once.
I saw it more like a that's his.
It's like reference to Mission Impossible 1 when he sees his team getting shot.
No, but that girl there who got killed, that's his Vesper, right? That he's just never talked about. So you got Bond, all the women that he meets in the future, and he eventually marries someone and all that, but he always has Vesper, you know. And this is just never brought her up, kind of a thing. Like I know. I kind of see it.
That's
I know.
I don't like that type.
Field, right?
Yeah, it's a retcon, and I don't really like that shit. You know, I don't like when they just kind of introduce a new thing that he's never mentioned ever.
Dead retconning part 1.
Yeah, it's not basically the entire history with him is not necessary.
I agree.
Making Blofeld his brother. No, not necessary.
Yeah, not necessary. Yeah. Surely, in part 2, I can't remember. In Fallout, Simon Harris's character didn't die, did he?
No.
I felt like they were setting him up to be a bit of a Ethan Hunt's Blofeld from Rogue Nation, and then coming back in Fallout, and him having disciples, and basically he ran the Syndicate, which was Spectre, right? Like, he's sort of been set up to be Ethan Hunt's Blofeld, and if he's not dead, surely he's coming back in part 2. Hence why I thought Gabriel should have had this movie and this movie only.
So how would they be connected?
Just that the entity would go, right, I'm breaking him out. I'm using him again. I'm going to use him.
All right, okay, sure. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, just wherever he's locked up. I feel like he's going to have to factor in somewhere, because
Ethan needs his help.
Yeah, they might do that, and I don't know if I like that as much, actually. But it feels like that's a loose end that needs tying up in terms of this director's run on Mission Impossible.
Oh, is this the same director as the previous ones?
This guy has been directing since Rogue Nation, I think.
Oh,
same director since Rogue Nation. He didn't do Ghost Protocol.
Yeah, there's a couple of characters in that too where it's like, where are they?
Like Jeremy Renner's character, or
Did he die? Did he die in Rogue Nation, or did something happen to him in Rogue Nation?
So, no,
he's in Rogue Nation.
Is he not in Rogue Nation?
He might be.
I get them kind of. Once they start losing their numbers, I really start mixing them up. It's really hard to. But anyway, there's characters throughout the series that it's like, I really hope they make appearance somewhat in 2. It was great seeing Kittredge again. I thought.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I liked the scene.
And I like that Max is technically here.
Oh, speaking of the female performers,
that's fucking brilliant.
Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah,
is a fucking standout performance in the movie.
Yeah.
I think she was the best performance in the movie.
Yeah,
like she's fucking excellent. I was looking at her going, she needs someone put her in everything.
Yeah, doesn't matter what it is.
But like even in the movie, she had to play 2 different versions of herself. Obviously,
yeah, it was kind of the Hermione,
Helena Bonham Carter moment, right?
Yeah.
But she played it really well. Like she played the I'm really nervous pretending to be confident. And then, I mean, her impression of her mom, basically, of the character, is so good. Like, she's so like, what was it, Max?
Yeah.
From the first Mission Impossible? She's so like her in her delivery and her confidence and everything.
I did have a thing, though, with the movie, with Vanessa Kirby, in that, now, a good attention to detail there, that it's not just magically her eyes are blue.
Yeah.
But I did look and go, her eyes are so obviously brown, and it just looks so obviously wrong. How did her brother, who grew up with her, not fucking notice her bright blue eyes and how dark brown?
Oh, I didn't know that was her brother. Oh, that's interesting.
It is a weird one because, like, it's a good point, right? It's like, how would those closest to her not notice something's off? And at the same time, I appreciate that they remained consistent. You know what I mean? I appreciate that they went, right, Hayley Atwell's character has brown eyes. We can't just suddenly give her blue eyes. Now, they could have done an easy fix where it's like
contact lenses.
They give her contact lenses, yeah. And then,
I wonder was it more for the audience to understand? Although you would know based on the jacket and stuff, but
as well based on just like from following the film, like.
Yeah.
You know, she drugged her and then she went out and, you know what I mean? And just following the general plot of, usually they tell us when someone's wearing a mask. Like, and we know they wear masks. Every Mission Impossible movie, they wear masks.
Yeah.
I guess.
I did like the bit with the mask, actually, when Ethan snuck into the building. Now, obviously, it's obvious as fucking, that's like, if that's either a bad guy or Ethan.
I liked the second mask.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was clever because the first mask had grey hair anyway, and you can see it in the background. He's putting on the next one. It looks like he's putting the same one back on, and obviously Kittredge has given like the code words to like make sure I get out of the building safe. Yeah. And then when he turns around and Ethan Hunt is wearing his face, it's just like, that's well done. Like that's perfect. That's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to talk about the train sequence.
Dangerous one.
Right?
Yeah, because that is the scene where Vanessa Kirby like just fucking goes, and by the way, I can act.
Big time. Well, and I thought she was amazing during the Frenchman sequence anyway. You know, the Matrix, they're all in the nightclub.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Sequence. Yeah.
You know, and I thought that scene was brilliant. I thought the pacing of the dialogue was good. I thought the music was ramping up. There was a real tension of like, this is about to kick off. Like there was some scene. I felt like most of the tension was actually in moments where people were talking, and there were some of those scenes were directed incredibly well. But yeah, the train sequence. It's Uncharted 2, right? Like, well, the director has all but confirmed that. Actually, someone said that train sequence looks very familiar, and put pictures side by side with that in Uncharted 2. And he said something like mimicry is the best form of flattery or something like that, with a winky face or something to that effect.
Yeah.
So obviously they were inspired by that sequence. And when you're looking even at the inside of the train as they're jumping from bar to bar, it's like, that's the same fucking train. Nearly. But I thought that scene was great. especially when the piano was about to drop. Like,
yeah,
it was getting ridiculous, but I was like, I thought they built up the tension well of him going, "You have to let me jump," and she kept grabbing him. I thought that was really.
Those were some of the moments I really liked with them too. Like that was in the car too. They're like they've got good chemistry, good banter.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Well, the ridiculousness of the situation matches the ridiculousness of like Nathan Drake in Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3, where it's just like you touch something, then it falls, and then something else is gonna fall, and you have to like work your way around. I did like the scene, but the CGI in the background threw me off a lot.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah. Fair.
I find that online though, the dialogue around that sequence is kind of negative.
Really? In what way? Like
because they're like saying, "Oh, it's just
it's too derivative or something."
It's just like Uncharted, as if that's a bad thing, as if Uncharted is like so original.
That is being said as people who love Uncharted.
Yeah.
In case it's someone's first time listening to us.
Because like, although the train, trains, they look the same. Although the train looked like the train from Uncharted 2 somewhat.
Sure.
I was reminded, the moment that actually reminded me more of The Lost World.
Oh, yeah, and they're hanging off the cliff and the T-Rex above them and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is about to break and they have to go, the thing is about to fall and they have to jump and you have to jump at the right time to catch. Yeah, like the tension of it just reminded me a lot more of that.
And there was good tension, I thought, in the scene.
Yeah, I liked the music ended, there's kind of silence, let you just hear the creaking of the carriages moving down.
But actually, speaking on the music, I actually thought the score to this one was really solid. And now, it's not my favorite in the series. I'm still a sucker for Hans Zimmer's score in Mission Impossible 2 that everyone forgets about. I think because they always just think of Limp Bizkit. And I'm like, yeah, but I like that song. But they're probably like, I just don't see Limp Bizkit and Mission Impossible like that. That was the weirdest pairing ever, right? But shut the fuck up.
How about Metallica?
Or Metallica, you know what I mean? Like, I get that some people, when they think Mission Impossible 2 score, they're probably thinking of that album of tracks that goes along with it.
Right, yeah.
But I'm talking about the actual film score, right?
Yeah.
But in saying that, I did think the score to this movie was really, really good. There was loads of moments that I thought that
nothing really stood out to me, but in the, there was nothing, it went so well with the film, I think. Like, every moment was like, this is really well done.
Like, there wasn't moments where it's like, oh, that music is jarring and I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like, it kept the pacing moving along. There was nice renditions of the familiar theme, throughout. And so I thought, I think it's the most I've noticed the score. Obviously, you always know the Mission Impossible main theme, but I think this is the most I've noticed the score since Mission Impossible 2. I think in the other ones, I've always just found that it's like, yeah, it's fine. It's like
just generic action movie music.
Yeah, just it's in there. It's not bad, but it's not great. But in this time, I actually had moments where I was nearly nodding my head along as a scene was building pace, and I was aware of the music. So,
do you think that's a thing in like movies where they're like, we can't get a composer, just get us that MP3 player of generic action movie music?
You're not off, actually. Most cases, directors will actually they'll finish editing a sequence. It depends on how quickly the composer is brought on board. Hans is a little bit of a different case. He's normally brought on very early on, like even pre-production.
Yeah.
But in most situations, they'll have like an edit of the film, and they put it to tracks that they like from other movies.
Sure, and they like the vibe of.
Yeah, and they go to a composer and they say, like this, please. So that happens quite a lot.
Do you know what? It gives the composer something to start with, at least, right? Like,
well, you know what they're wanting,
Yeah.
But I think it's just like those will be. That would happen quite a lot, which is why you tend to hear things. I mean, it's not the composer's fault; it's what the director wants. But it's why a lot of things end up sounding very similar, very generic.
Yeah. Jeez, I wondered did they do that with video games as well. I'm just thinking of
I'm sure they do. Yeah.
You won't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but Eric will. Like, did Capcom? Did they just put the Wonder Woman theme on that scene in Resident Evil 4? Is that what they did? You know, did they just go, we better slap that in there? Something like that.
Probably did.
Anyway. Yeah, probably. Yeah, but yeah, that's fucking cool. But yeah, I thought the music to this movie was good. Is there any other performances or anything like that we haven't talked about that you guys wanted to talk about and we haven't yet got around to?
I'm really interested in the, I don't know the actor's name, but he was in Kong Skull Island and he's in this, and he's the guy hunting down Ethan Hunt. Very interested in that character because of what's his relationship. I'm assuming he's the brother of the girl that died at the start of the movie and he blames Ethan Hunt for it. I'm assuming that's what it is.
I wasn't even thinking that far, but you know, you actually, given how the rest of the script went, you're probably fucking bang on it.
Yeah.
I just thought he was just a agent who's just fucking sick of this rogue agent, but you might actually be onto something that there's more there.
No, because he's just so, like, the way he was talking, even the guy was asking him, was like, oh, you know him personally? And it's like, blah, 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 pushing it off. And I was like, he's related to Ethan Hunt in some way. But I just like this moment when he's going around the, like, airport and, like, grabbing the people's faces and shit like that and just kind of trying to tear off.
It was quite funny, yeah.
It's funny, but it's also, like, it's also, again, playing into that paranoia concept.
Paranoia, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, the film... It did actually need it, right? But there's almost like too much happening too. Like there's almost too many parties involved. Yeah. And if I was to cut the film down, that would be one aspect that I would just remove from it, is people hunting them down.
Mm-hmm. Right, but it's a staple of Mission Impossible, right?
Yeah,
like he has to be being hunted, right?
But it's almost like as if they made them too involved now, and it's like
sure,
it's
like
really
maybe they show up too much. Like maybe it didn't need to be a character, but that maybe Eric's right. Maybe there's more to it, and maybe that is why it's a character. But maybe it just needed to be that in every city they're in, the local law enforcement of that city are hunting them, but it's never a specific character, you know. Yeah, maybe that's needed to happen, but
kind of like
I don't know.
Kind of like in Hannibal when he goes to Italy and you just had that cop wants to take him in for the reward of it. Yeah, like you could have had the entity actually put out a
bounty,
like a bounty, to so then any law enforcement that any country goes to, they're after him.
Yeah, like in fairness, there didn't actually need to be Gabriel either.
No, not necessarily. And again, the guy I thought did a good job. He wasn't like a bad villain or anything. But it felt like I suppose they wanted, I mean, they were aware that what they have is a faceless, nameless enemy. And so they wanted to give the villain a voice, basically. Someone to kind of talk through. And then make that sort of an arch enemy on top of that as well. And it felt like a little
weird,
too much. Well, it's like, to me, I was like, right, Gabriel is the henchman of the entity then.
Yeah.
But he's kind of taken the star villain role as a result of having that history versus just being this awful person.
That's why I'm kind of hoping it actually does turn out to be something like what happened with Moriarty. Do you remember?
It's not though, is it?
No,
like,
it's not,
definitely not in the way. Like even that opening scene with the submarine, I think makes it so clear.
Yeah, but unless it's something else and there's a cover up, I don't know.
Right,
but remember the what's his name in Sherlock as well? It's the Magnuson. Yeah. The way they thought there was something, but it was just,
that was so clever.
It was just him. Like, I kind of hope there's something else here, because I just not buying this whole fucking entity thing. It's just a bit mad.
I think if they did that, if they pulled that off like Magnuson style, which I still think is the best episode of Sherlock, that's fucking unbelievable. If they could pull it off, amazing. But I think it is.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly what it says. Like, I think it's so, and I think they, for the same reasons we were talking about earlier, like I think they actually love the idea of what if intelligence is the villain. Like in its sort of truest
We've
form.
lost our intelligence. We have no intelligence. It's like Team America.
Pretty much. It's the plot of Team America if intelligence turned bad, you know? Well, what is the IMF if not fucking Team America, basically?
What do you think is missing
I will not
that you hope to see in the next part?
All the characters return. And then they can all die.
No, what I was missing in this one, and I felt like they were setting up for it really well when they had their two MacGuffins, which interestingly turned into a bit of a cross. So there's obviously a lot of religious imagery throughout this movie, and also another hint at like maybe Uncharted, right? But I kind of thought they were going to end up in secure locations that would involve planning a pretty much impossible heist and then carrying out that impossible heist.
Yeah.
And for all the great stunt work that's in the movie and all the great action scenes that are in the movie and so that, I felt like that's why I think it's holding back for the next part.
Yeah, hopefully.
I feel like they're missing an actual impossible mission.
I actually think in like nearly all of them, apart from maybe like the first two, I think from 3 onwards, every time they do the impossible mission part, it's like, okay, this is going to be impossible. We're going to need to do this, this, and this. 2 seconds later, Ethan Hunt's is inside, and you're like, oh, okay, that didn't seem so hard. Even though like is really hard. Like what he did is really tough, but it's like,
well, I just like when they sit around planning like the the heist basically, which is how we're going to get in. It's like there's a problem. You can't go in here because of this. If you're going to go through that duct, you've only got this much time. They've got fucking lasers. It's all the typical shit that's associated with spies nowadays. I felt like it was missing that scene. And like maybe it could have been to get one half of the key somewhere that's locked up somewhere. Like there was definitely room for it in this movie.
Yeah, they definitely do a heist in I think they do one in all of them, bar this one. Like, I suppose you can kind of have the train accounts, but I think Eric's right. Since 2, it almost feels like a walk in the park nearly. And it's like, more like what makes it impossible is that something goes wrong during it, as opposed to the setup. Actually, just like them on the train in the first one talking about breaking into CIA headquarters, and they're like, "You're fucking crazy, man."
Yeah, but like, you know what? None of them have lived up to that first one in terms of that heist aspect.
No, absolutely not.
Because even the 1 and 2, which they have a nice moment of it and it's good, but it is basically a very short part of the film. The first one actually has a huge chunk around that particular mission to get that disc.
Because then in the 4th one, they have the moment where it's like, we got to break into the Kremlin. And it's like, well, this is the Kremlin. This is like the CIA. This should be really difficult.
Oh God, yeah, it should be impossible.
It's
and in that it's more like things are going wrong during it, as opposed to. And it's the 3rd one. I think it's Rome. It's the Vatican, isn't it?
The Vatican's where I noticed that. Yeah, he kind of hops a wall, and I was like, oh, well, that was really easy. He just hopped a fucking wall.
Now hold on. He hops the wall. He takes a photo of what he can see with a Polaroid, and then tapes the Polaroid to the camera.
Oh, that's cool. It's like the whole thing is. I think it's actually pretty cool how they did that, but
it's too quickly.
It is. It's the whole like. Yeah.
Also,
it's like it's Ocean's 11. It's them talking through it, right? And then you're only getting pieces of it as the audience, right? And then
you see them pull it off.
Then you see it pull it off, and it's like a magic trick at the end when actually they just walk out free from the whole thing. Yeah, I really hope that part 2 has an impossible mission.
The submarine, getting down to the same marine.
Yeah, that'll be difficult, especially if you have like, I don't know, an untested submersible or something.
But you see, here's what I think. I think the stunts, which are great, they're fucking great, but I think they have taken the place of the heist. So I think I already know what Tom Cruise, the mad bastard, is doing.
He is going to swim down there with no gear.
In ice water, yeah.
That guy's just trying to kill himself, I think.
That is impossible.
Well, hold on. Well, all I'm saying is when they were doing the behind the scenes of the motorbike accident, or not accident. Fucking, they pulled it off perfectly. But when they were doing the behind the scenes of that, the director said, the only thing that scares me more than this stunt is what Tom has planned for the next one. So obviously he's doing something more dangerous than riding a bike off a mountain.
Yes, but first of all, he's already done the hold your breath in water for a ridiculously long amount of time.
Yeah, but in
that's
ice.
True, that's true.
Oh, he did do that was that Ghost Protocol?
I think that was
Or was it Rogue Nation?
I think it was Rogue Nation. Ghost Protocol was the Burj Khalifa.
So. Rogue Nation, and he had to turn something off underwater.
Yeah.
That was
it was a big jet thing, and you had to jump into it. Yeah, it was Rogue Nation, and
that's right.
Ghost Protocol was Kremlin and the Burj Khalifa. So I don't think he's going to do that, but I think that is going to be part of the impossible mission, is trying to get down to
figuring out how to get down to the submarine to turn that thing off, right?
Yes, I don't like the fact that this is part 1 of part 2, and it ends with the heroes winning. Right,
you would think this has to be a. Yeah, I mean, I get it. We lose the character of Ilsa, and she's awesome. And if you've been following the series along, and if this series means a lot to you, that probably impacts you even more than if you're a casual watcher. But at the point in which she died, there's time for a victory after that. And even the bit that I thought was hilarious, which was Gabriel doing the whole "you meddling kids," Ethan. He was basically the what's he called in The Simpsons?
Principal Bob?
No, Principal Skinner's boss. He was like, Skinner!
Oh.
What's he called? What's his
I can't remember.
Director of Education or something? I don't know. But yeah, I did think that scene was fucking hilarious. It was not in a good way. No, that's a bit cheesy.
Yeah, what other video games did you get from it? So there's Uncharted. We mentioned Metal Gear.
Yeah. Call of Duty. Got a little bit of that, obviously. What other ones you think? I also got not just video game references. I did get some
going away from the police.
You're at a push now. You're at a push.
Need for Speed there. Need for Speed Underground.
Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. With Pam dressed as Harley Quinn. No, I also got some movie references, obviously. Some of them being James Bond movies, actually, because I thought the whole sequence at the yellow car was very Tomorrow Never Dies.
Oh.
With the handcuffs. And For Your Eyes Only, when he's driving the little yellow. It's not the same type car, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, I got vibes of Bond during the movie as well. But other video games, I don't know, beyond Uncharted, Metal Gear, Call of Duty. What else did you get?
Yeah, it was pretty much them two, really. It's I think I got stronger. I think I got stronger Metal Gear references throughout than it did Uncharted. It was really just that train sequences Uncharted, and
absolutely. Well, and I do think the MacGuffin does look very much like a treasure thing, and then when you couple that with the train, you start thinking, oh, there's a bit of an Uncharted element throughout, kind of. But it's not that could be any MacGuffin film. That could be the Da Vinci Code, that could be
National Treasure.
Yeah, exactly. That could be any of those. So, but yeah. Do you think of any other games, Eric, while you're watching it?
No, not really.
Okay.
To be honest, there was an element they could have went for a bit of a Splinter Cell, I suppose, but they said not to do that.
I can tell you what games weren't in it.
There was no Gears of War, or Halo, or FIFA.
Right, before we finish up then and wrap up the conversation, we have talked a little bit about hopes for the next one, but what would you like to see in Dead Reckoning Part 2? Other than what we've kind of already said before we finish up.
I'm really... I'd actually have no idea, because I don't know what else is left of this story. Because other than... They now have to try find the location of the sub. We have the audience. We know where it is, technically. Or at least we can see it.
Yeah.
So... That seems to be all that's left. Just go find that sub.
That's why I think they shouldn't have had the key at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm really interested to see like, well, how are you gonna drag a movie out of this?
It's just a car chase.
So they're you know what? They might actually end up having to break your man out.
Yeah, I mean that character has to come into it in some way. I feel to finish the story properly, especially when they're saying this is the last one. I just feel like some of those characters in the last few movies they're kind of interwoven and intricate, and that character was a major villain in 2 movies and then he lived. So to me it's like they haven't wrapped him up. They obviously put him aside for this one so they could focus purely on the entity and stuff. So I feel like he's got to come into the next one in some manner.
Yeah, I'll be class, right? Let's say he is doing that. Let's say he's breaking Sean Harris's character out of wherever the fuck he is,
which is the heist.
Got to break in, maximum security prison.
That's impossible.
Got lasers and vents and all that. The world's cleanest vents. I've noticed that in spy movies and stuff. Is that the vents are pristine. The movies. These guys clearly have never been in vents. But that as they're trying to get out, because something obviously always has to go wrong, so the alarm trips. Oh no, blah blah blah. They got to run. And at the end of it, there's a door. They just got to get out of that door. But standing between Tom Cruise and Sean Harris is Jeremy Renner's character, and they have to have a fight. And that would be a really good way of bringing that character back in without having to have him for the whole movie.
Okay. So he works in the prison, and he's like, "You can't break him out, you mad bastard."
Yeah.
And Ethan Hunt's like, "I ain't got time to explain."
Yeah.
Because I'm against the clock here, and then
I was about to say that they also
character. I wish I knew their names.
I know. I feel bad.
Yeah. Didn't he have a connection with Ethan Hunt? His past as well.
I can't remember. Something to do with that, right? I don't know.
I know he doesn't like him.
No, he didn't like him, and he had to warm up to him, did he?
Yeah.
What I would like to see from the next movie, because I know what we will see, obviously, right? We know, again, we've seen the sub. We know the trajectory of the plot. We know we're going to get some crazy stunts. We know we're going to get some great action scenes. We know we're going to get the back and forth between the cast and all that stuff. I would like the movie to surprise me. That's all.
And
I can't say what well, that would really surprise me. I can't say what I want that to be, because then I wouldn't be surprised. I would love that by the end of the movie, at some point, they actually surprised me. And I'm not saying that in a negative to, like, this movie was really predictable as it was going along. And it just is. And that's just the way it is. And it feels like the second one is already set up in such a way that you could predict quite a lot of where it's going to go. But I would love if some mask trick, some plot twist, whether it's the ending, whether it's killing a character you don't expect them to kill, some big, bold, wild thing that you didn't see coming surprises you. That's what I think.
Do you think Ethan's going to die?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's going to be like what they did with Batman?
Takes his death and goes off to Florence to have a cup of tea with.
No, I think they're gonna kill him. I think they're gonna make it final. I think they're gonna make it like.
Because they seem to be like kind of hinting at like, as you know, every woman that you come into contact with dies, so you need to fucking die or something in order for them to live.
Sure, there was hints of that, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the way Tom Cruise portrays this character and sees this character, and even like some of the dialogue in it where he's like, "I just want you to know none of your lives will ever matter more than my own," and stuff like that. There's a real sense of I am willing to sacrifice myself. What? Oh, no, sorry. Your lives...
Selfish.
Yeah, sorry.
So selfish.
Sorry, I have that so wrong. Yeah. What I meant to say was, your lives will always matter. I think I was watching a different movie. I was watching the one on Wish. So I feel like the trajectory is that Ethan Hunt, this is his final mission, he dies. He does not get a happy ending, but he does get a hero sacrifice type thing.
Yeah.
You know what they could do?
So the surprise to me would be if he doesn't.
Yeah. You know what would surprise you though, Chris, right?
Yeah.
In this movie. If by the end of it, yes, Ethan Hunt has survived, they've saved the whole day, and then Ethan Hunt pulls off his mask and it's John Voight. Oh my god, it was John Voight the whole time.
That would surprise the fuck out of me. If this whole time it has been Tom Boyd disguised as Tom Cruise, disguised as all the people he disguised as along the way.
A wonderful surprise that I would just love for. Like, this would be just in a perfect world.
Anthony Hopkins.
That would be lovely.
Yeah, actually,
that would be really cool. That'd be awesome to see him return in time.
But anyway, it's not him.
If the last one is scored by Hans Zimmer,
that would be lovely.
That would just be
definitely not happening because this composer must have worked on both. Like, they've worked on both films at the same time, obviously.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that would be a lovely surprise too. But anyway, guys, now we want to hear from you guys. What would you like to see, or what do you hope to see from Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 2? What did you think of Part 1? Are you in on the whole AI thing? Do you think it was too far-fetched? Did you buy it? What other video game references did you see, or movie references throughout the movie? What were your favorite scenes? Let us know. Any of your takes, we'd love to hear it. Jump down into the comments if you watch this YouTube. If you enjoy the discussion, why not give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell for, again, not only everything else that we talk about, but down the line, whenever the second movie comes out, we will watch it, review it, and then we'll rank the Mission Impossible series. To those of you listeners on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. Thank you so much for checking out this week's episode. We'll be back to talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.